Hello, I'm glad that you're here. I've been a police officer for nearly 25 years, and I've trained police officers in all 50 states. Law enforcement is used to responding to calls that really have to do with the here and the now. If you will, it's somewhat of a snapshot that they're responding to. But domestic violence is very, very different. It's really not about today as much as it's about how it got to be like this, and the development of the relationship to the point where the officer is responding. Best practices in what we're training officers to do is to think differently about these cases. And one of the ways that we're doing that is training the officers to ask a few questions different from what they would normally ask. You may have an experience where an officer asks you these 3 questions, but I want to convey to you that it's important, and I encourage you to give the officers this information. The first question that you may hear from an officer is, describe for me the worst incidents of violence. This is really an opportunity for you to talk about it being more than just about today. It gets the officers to think differently about these cases and to recognize that it may not be about today that was the worst case, and gets you an opportunity to talk with them in a much different way than they're used to. The second question is, do you think that he or she will seriously injure or kill you or your children? This again is an opportunity for you to talk about not just today, but about this relationship and how it got to be where you're feeling the way that you are today, and that you're afraid and why. And it's not just about today that you're afraid, but about a much bigger picture than just the snapshot that they've responded to. The third question has to do with victim intimidation. You may have an officer ask, have you or a family member ever been intimidated or threatened by your batterer for your participation or cooperation with the police or moving forward with the criminal justice system? This is very important information, and the officer and the prosecutor and the judge and the system are going to need to know the answer to this question. And again, it focuses on not just today and not just about you, but about your family and about your situation over a long period of time. Many communities, an officer that initially responds to the case will get very basic information and write a report, but that information and report are forwarded to an investigator or another member of the department. It's very important that when that investigator talks with you, that even if they don't ask you those 3 questions I described, that I want to encourage you to make sure that they know the answers to those questions, that you describe for them the worst incidents of violence, even if it wasn't about the one they're responding to, that you talk with them about your fears about the person or him actually being able to kill you or your family, that you talk with them about victim intimidation. It's very important that they know the answers to those questions. It's important that the investigator knows. It's important that the prosecutor knows. It's important that the judge knows. It's important that the probation agent knows. It's really important for the entire criminal justice system to know the answers to those questions, and I encourage you to tell them.